This is the KJ Singh Show with your host KJ Singh. Now, this weekend we saw the Oscars. Not that I saw it personally, because I don't really watch the Oscars. I like to know which films have done well, so as to get recommendations for future films that I'm going to watch, because I do love films. I just watched Dune 2 over the weekend, which I'll talk about in future videos. But this weekend we had the Oscars, and the best feature for international film, or best international feature film, was The Zone of Interest, which is essentially on the Holocaust, and to the sheer anger, to the displeasurement, to the bewilderment of the right wing, who are in support of a genocide that is being inflicted on the Gazan people. The director of this Holocaust film, Jonathan Glazer, who he himself is Jewish, talked about how Jewishness and anti-Semitism, or smears of anti-Semitism, as well as the Holocaust, has been used to, and has been hijacked to, by an occupation, or justify an occupation, which is, which displays a certain level of moral clarity. The video that I'm going to show you is from the very speech that he gave.
All our choices were made to reflect and confront us in the present, not to say, look what they did then, rather look what we do now. Our film shows where dehumanization leads at its worst. It shaped all of our past and present. Right now, we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people. Whether the victims of October the...
So clearly, this is at odds with the right-wing Israel establishment, and even just generally our mainstream media and politicians. This wouldn't really get the green light from Biden or Keir Starmer, who are seemingly, who are supposed to be on the centre left, which show us a great degree of separation between the very people, as well as those who are more closely connected to the Holocaust, scholars, people who are, right on the Holocaust and are connected to the evidence, historians, for example, Norman Finkelstein, people who are, as well as graphic novelists who depict Holocaust and who want to kind of make sure that the lessons of Holocaust are never forgotten, such as Art Spiegelman, who wrote the graphic novel Mouse. They're both on the, purport, or rather, they are both in support of Palestinian rights, just as Jonathan Glazer is. And as you'll see in future videos, the right-wing establishment, the pro-Israel, occupation crowd, they're not very happy with these beliefs, because essentially what's being, the elephant in the room is that in order to maintain this current occupation, to maintain apartheid, which 12 human rights organizations have explicitly outlined is happening very clearly, in apartheid. Even prior to October the 7th, there was a clear separation, a compartmentalization of who is considered in the in-group, who is considered outside the in-group, and what rights those people who are not part of the in-group have. And this is reflected. There are parallels in what is happening with Gaza, as well as with the parallels to the movie The Zone of Interest. Now, I'm not seeing the film, but I'm definitely going to see it very soon. And synopsis, well, I'm not going to give you spoilers, but essentially it's it's basically, the plot is beside one of the concentration camps, I believe Auschwitz, or well, can't be, it could be just one of those concentration camps. There's a plot of land where one of their SS officers has a kind of a little kind of a utopia, kind of a utopian kind of like community in a way, where his family lives, and it's kind of like, and whilst kind of you can kind of get a sense of like, from the trailer and what I read about it, kind of a sense of like almost a wholesomeness with regards to the family coming together, building something beautiful together. But it's contrasted with the setting in which this is happening, close to next door to a concentration camp, and it just goes to show the compartmentalization that we as humans do in an occupation or in a concentration camp, where we completely remove all references to humanity for the victims of such atrocities. And the same is happening in Gaza. Many scholars, even Israeli scholars, have said that what is happening prior to October 7th, and even prior to the blockade put into place in 2006, that Gaza is a open air prison or an concentration camp, because of course the blockade, which means that Israel controls what goes in, what goes out, via land crossings, by sea. They control the sea, they control the air, they control electromagnetic frequencies. They control essentially everything that goes in, and it's a contained area of land with one of the highest population densities on this planet. And the calorie intake of the average Gazan themselves is controlled by Israel. This is the degree to which there is this tremendous, overwhelming, and just ubiquitous control that Gazans are put under this occupation. It's a brutal occupation, and I'll just touch upon one of the reasons why it's brutal is because in 2018, when the whole world said, why don't you actually peacefully protest or engage in peaceful activism? There was a peaceful protest known as the Great March of Return. First 6 weeks of it, overwhelmingly peaceful, and yet people were shot at and killed by the hundreds by the Israel authorities. So clearly Israel doesn't want to even consider the self-determination of Palestinians, and wherever there has been momentum towards some sort of peaceful agreement, peaceful settlement, such as with Oslo Accord, Israel and the US has completely rejected it. It's almost as if the self-determination of one people is completely effaced from this earth, and they just subject and are just going to be for the rest of their lives, for the rest of their existence, if they even have a life to live, will be completely at the mercy of the other more powerful nation, which is supported by the US, by the vast majority of the world. And what we see with people like Art Spiegelman, Norman Finkelstein, with Jonathan Glazer, and a lot Avi Shlaim, is the difference between moral clarity and moralism. People like Michael Rappaport, people like Ben Shapiro, who support this current genocide, they act and make the arguments through the terms, through the argumentation of moralism, which essentially is moral superiority. I am better than these people, and therefore these people are lesser than me, or they are lesser than me, and therefore they need to be eradicated or defended against. And this is their kind of the main moral arguments. It's based on I'm better than you, and therefore, and that's kind of like, there's not very much nuance in this kind of argument. It's essentially, the modern day equivalent of, to put into context, in the past, slavery was justified by saying that these this group of people is inferior, and we are the superior ones. We get to decide their fate, right? And same with religion. Our religion is the truly divinely provided religion, the one that is truly connected to one true God, and the other ones, they are all at the mercy of Satan or whoever. And that's why we can eradicate them. In the same way, moralism is the same way. It uses the facade of moral superiority to justify the immoral dehumanization of those people. It's this same argument, but done in a more liberal way, liberal tone, but not really liberal, because these people are far from liberal. These people are just genocidal maniacs, and they just use the argumentation of liberalism to justify it. Because, of course, if they really cared about liberalism, they would care about the LGBTQ people that are being bombed. They'll care about the women that are being bombed by their, thousands, 9,000 at least, women have been killed. But anyway, I digress. Moral clarity, however, which is what, Jonathan Glazer, Norman Finkelstein, Art Spiegelman, and, people who are in defense of pro-Palestinian rights, these people are looking at this situation and seeing, actually, the mechanism, the moral degradation that happened to the events leading to the Holocaust and the Holocaust itself, the dehumanization, that's happening to different people. And it's almost as if, to the right wing, they don't see the parallels held, because for them, the issue with the Holocaust was that it was happening to a certain group of people. Whereas those with moral clarity would say, actually, it's not that it was happening to a certain group of people that was wrong. It was that it is happening at all. It's not that concentration camp was wrong for Jewish people. The whole idea of a concentration camp was a bad idea. I mean, unless you think sort of some really strange psychopathic idea of, this entitlement to just lord over people, which essentially is the ultimate conclusion of the right wing, is might makes right, then you cannot say you are pro-life, pro anything that is wholesome and innocent and, God created. You have to start from a premise of ego-driven, superiority, inferiority complex. But I'm really glad that this movie won. I'm really glad that there are people of moral clarity out there, and we just have to voice our, our moral, grievances. We have to ensure that this does not get, brushed under the rug, the elephant in the room. And I'm going to be responding to videos by Michael Rappaport. I'm going to be responding to a lot of this propaganda and the Shmuley guy, Rabbi Shmuley, spreading the most high energy, low IQ kind of propaganda. It's, you kind of have to be kind of again, in the same way you got this compartmentalization where you can try and be as human as possible, as well as doing the most inhumane things. The right wing are the same. They try and present themselves as this, these wholesome human beings, and yet they act in the most ogre-like ways. It's quite a sight to behold. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be doing more videos on this for the foreseeable and long-term future.